Hi everyone. I'm here with Pastor Promise. We call him Pastor Promise. Yeah, I met Pastor Promise about 2 years ago when I came to Finland, and I would say, and not because he's here right now, I'll say Pastor Promise is what I would regard as a talk and do Christian. Talk and do, and that has really inspired me as a person. And today, one of the conversations that we had about around that same time was he was talking to a group of people, and I was part of those people when he was narrating his story, how he came to Finland. And I feel like this is a very in-depth something that everyone needs to hear about it, particularly if you're planning on leaving Africa or maybe anywhere, for example, or maybe you are here in this country, you've been here 5 years, or probably maybe you're just arriving. Honestly, I think Pastor Promise as his story would inspire you, and then you will understand where you are, what you want to do, and then I'm just going to let you hear from the horses. But I'm going to ask the question, and I'm sure Pastor Promise will be willing to like share his story with us, and I believe it's really going to inspire all of you. Pastor Promise, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I've been saying I want to do this with you. Thank you so much for agreeing, and thank you so much for letting me do this with you today. Please, like, tell us just the way you were telling us that day. I want you to like don't hold anything back. Please tell us exactly how did this journey come to be and your accomplishments, your story so far, everything, please.
Thank you so much for giving me also the chance to say this. It was quite a journey, starting from when I left Nigeria. First and foremost, I got my resident permit at a time when so many things were shutting down. Where I used to work was concessioned by government, and due to some of the unpleasant events that were happening around the same period. Although I had been in the process of applying for my permit and doing, I've gone for the interview. The embassy wrote that my insurance cover was not good enough. I should send another one. So the period I expected to get um, the permit had passed. I had contacted the embassy. Long story short, the very day we were asked to proceed on indefinite leave was the day I got home. I was just thinking, what will I be doing? I mean, how am I going to be staying at home? Yes, on leave, but somehow I got home and something just said, why don't you go and, because then I didn't have internet at home. It's not like now. Of course, I had a phone, but I usually don't check my mails and all that at home. I had to go to the cyber cafe. And when I got to the cyber cafe, that I wanted to just surf the internet for quite something. So first thing I did was to check my mail. And lo and behold, as I opened my mail, the first thing I saw was a letter from the embassy. And when I opened it, I saw the first line, your resident permit has been
Grand.
granted.
Wow,
So
wow.
I was happy, but maybe not overtly excited. The reason being that I didn't have anybody to ask questions. Of course, it was something I prayed for. It was something I wanted. I mean, the admission came. I started the process. Everything was going on. On one hand, I was maybe grateful, and I mean, I was really grateful to God. I was happy because at least it was going to solve the problem of not having to stay at home. And not only that, I had always wanted it, but at the same time, there was this fear of unknown because I didn't know what I was going to meet. Um, I don't want to go back to how I got to know about Finland. It was somebody who came to, because we had a cyber cafe in my office. I was the one in charge of the cyber cafe. So I was there one day. Someone came. He wanted to make application. I know about Sweden. I've not tried before. So the person was like, he's a friend. We were discussing. So he now mentions Finland. I said, okay, I will just check it. So I didn't know much about where I was going to, and I didn't have anybody I could actually ask that what is it going to be like if I get there. So long story short, I was happy, well, like I said, with a pinch of some uncertainty about what I was going to see. But then the fact that we were asked to proceed on indefinitely kind of made it easier for me, in the sense that I said, well, worst case scenario, I mean, some people pay to go for holiday, even though I didn't have all the money for such expensive trip, but some people pay to go on holiday out of the country, spend some time. So even if I go and it didn't turn out the way I wanted it, at least that could be a consolation that first and foremost, I'm not quitting my job. I'm only
Mm.
on leave. Secondly, I mean, it's what an experience. So I decided to take it from there. So I immediately, I think I booked my bus ticket, or I prepared that night, because already that was in August and school resumed that August. So the next thing I needed to do was to look for tickets. It was another heckling task. I had a friend who was a travel agent. I contacted him. The guy wanted to rip me off. The prices they were giving me, they say because Finland, but that added to my uncertainty that
Mm.
Finland is not a popular route. There are not too many flights going there. So the guy was insisting I had to book a return ticket, and the amount he was giving that time was outrageous. He was giving me almost 300,000. Then that was 2008,
Wait,
almost
sorry, sir.
300,000.
Which even brings, because I've been wanting to, like, if would you mind sharing how many years back are we talking about?
This was 2008. So that's
2008.
2008. That's about 15 years now.
Wow.
So is it 15? It's more than 15 years. It's almost 17 years now. Yes, by 2028 it will be exactly 20 years.
Oh,
So that's about seven.
that's 17 actually. Yeah.
By September this year it will be 17 years now. So I decided to go, and I started looking for tickets. Then I had to go to Abuja, and then the story, so many things happened. When I even told people, well, I will be traveling, they were like, "You are going to the village." It's like people were not looking in the direction of, because when I was walking, I mean, I wasn't really, I didn't, of course, I didn't make all of those. That was the only person that was fully aware of what I was doing and those applications was the clerk in my office, because he was the person I was always using to send some of the mails. And then if I had mails, he would go and pick them and bring it. So I went, got my resident permit, because then they don't post. You have to go to the embassy. So I went to the embassy, I got my resident permit, and then it became confirmed that yes, this is real. I was coming. Then I started looking for flights. I went to the airport. I went to some. Then I realized that there was this thing they were doing in Nigeria. Some agent will mop up all the flight tickets, and then they will just reserve. They won't pay. So if you now go to the airline itself, you won't get. Then they will
Mm.
now make you an offer which is a bit higher than what the
What the
airline is
headline will
offering.
sell to you.
So the school had already resumed, because I came in September. School resumed in August. So because I wanted to see if I could meet up the deadline for payment of school fees. I didn't have anybody to actually tell, but I didn't know that even if school have resumed, the deadline for registration have passed. You only need to pay about 35 euros late payment. The airlines were offering me dates that if I had to take it, would be after the closing of registration. And
Mm.
the normal thing, if it were to be in Nigeria, once you miss that date, it means you have lost your admission. So because of that, I had to quickly look for the next available. So I eventually got a ticket with Air France. Imagine that time. Some people came. Some of those that even came after me. Some people came in October. Meanwhile, me, they were offering me tickets like a week after, maybe like second week in September. I said no. Maybe ticket of, but I had to pay about 174,500
Mm.
just to get, because I wasn't sure what would happen if I arrive Finland late. So I got my ticket. Then the first drama was that when I was coming, because I went to the airline side, that was where I could get any kind of advice. So it was my first time, and so I saw the dimension of the boxes that you can take. I didn't know that that dimension of boxes was actually for hand luggage. So I thought it was the same for everything. And meanwhile, I was supposed to, I have 23, which is 46 kg allowance. So
That you did not
I
use.
went to buy a big, before I checked that dimension, I bought a bigger hand lug, a bigger bag for my travels. But when I went to check the airline dimension of bag, the explanation was not so clear. So I had to return the bag to
My
take a smaller
goodness.
bag. So when I was coming, I didn't come with a pinch of any foodstuff. All I had was just my clothes and my books.
You're coming to Finland.
I was coming to study. So when I got to, I had a friend and a very close friend of mine. The wife works with NACO at the airport. So I was in touch with him. He went to work, but he said he would meet me at the airport. So when I got there, I went to the airport very early, and while I was on the queue, the wife came because the wife knew me. So the wife came, and surprisingly, the queue was very long. But the wife just, just came and went to speak to those in charge. They just passed me. We just went through one corner, and with the connection of being a staff, they just checked in my bag. But first of all, she asked me, "Where is your luggage?" Because of course, she was seeing me with my bag. She was like, "Where is your luggage?" She started laughing. She said, "Ah, where is are you not carrying food?" Then I was not carrying anything.
Anything. My
I
goodness.
didn't bring anything. And second of all, I think the school sent us a message that if you are coming, you needed to inform the school 2 weeks
I heard.
ahead so that they can prepare for your tutor to be able to pick you up. So because I got that ticket, in fact, I got my permit and ticket, everything was happening within 1 week. I felt there was no need because the school needed 2 weeks and I don't have 2 weeks. So because my permit came out a bit late, so I didn't inform the school. And so I left Nigeria on Friday night. I mean, it's one of those things. And then I left. And then my friend's wife just took us. We went to her office. We were there. Just about the time they were closing boarding, she said, "Let's go." And everything happened so fast. I went. And then when we got to France, that was the first challenge. Of course, being my first time, my passport was a Virgin passport with a resident permit, not even a visa. So when we got to France, luckily for me, I had 4 hours layover. They actually picked us, all of us that were Nigerians and black on that flight because it was so that flight, as we got to Charles de Gaulle, some were going to America, UK, different places. But I noticed that all of us who were blacks and coming from with Nigerian passport, they brought one lens. As soon as you give them your passport, they one side. So they were passing everybody. So in my mind, I was like, what is this? They were passing everybody. But those of us that had Nigerian passport, it's as if we committed a crime carrying Nigerian passport. So after they passed everybody, they took us to immigration office at the airport. So when we got there, I noticed that some of those guys really, of course, there was a reason call for concern. Some of them were trying to escape. They came with visa, but their plan was that as soon as they were let out there, they would just disappear. So while we were there, then they asked me that you have a resident permit and your passport. This is your first time of traveling. I said yes. They said, how did you get to resident? Luckily for me, I'm a kind of person that I'm very detailed when it comes to when I'm traveling. I'm very detailed, and I had the handbag, small bag apart from the laptop bag. I had the handbag where I had all my credentials and but
Mm,
even the slip they gave me at the embassy. Luckily, I had
everything
everything.
was
So
there.
they were like, "Can you show us the document? Which document did you use to apply?" It was a bit strange to me, but I opened my bag. I had everything. I gave them. They went away, and then after like 30 minutes or thereabout, they came back. They gave me back my documents. Said, "Okay, you're welcome. That's the road to where you get your connecting flight." So I left. I went and then got to the place. Of course, I didn't have any person I would ask, nothing. And then I got there, waited, I asked questions, but somehow God provided people that when I needed to ask questions, somehow you meet someone who will be willing to assist. So when I eventually got, normally I have this principle because I know I was new. So whenever I get to I would first of all locate my boarding gate so that whatever the circumstance, I wouldn't have to be at the dying minute, start rushing. So I got to the boarding gate, I sat down, 4 hours is a long time. So when it was time, I got to Finland, then this next drama started. Upon arrival to Finland, because I don't have anybody, I don't have any connection, I don't know anybody I can call, I just saw where they have, after picking my bag, I saw this information section. And then I went to the information section thinking I could see somebody there because, I mean, by the name, you would think it's a place where you can get information. And this was in the afternoon. So I went to the information desk there. I didn't see anybody. So I was peeping to see if I could see somebody. As I didn't see anybody, I decided to walk back to follow those who are going because I saw exit. All of a sudden, two men just appeared and they just flashed their passport immigration. Can we see your passport? I said yes. I gave them my passport and the resident, because then resident permit was not a card, it's a sticker. So I gave them my passport, and then the guy that took my passport disappeared. He just entered one office and left me there. While I was there trying to figure out what was going on, two other men came and, can we have your bags? I said yes. So they collected my bag, they opened it, searched all the bags. They didn't see anything, and then they said, okay, you can close it back. As soon as I was done closing the bag, the man that took the passport just came out. You're welcome to Finland. He gave me back the passport. I couldn't even ask them the question I wanted to ask. As he gave me back the passport, he disappeared. I was left alone again. So I saw the exit. I just walked through the exit door. And when I got out of the exit door, um, the question is, I knew I wasn't in Kuopio yet. How do I get to Kuopio? So I saw a lady coming. I went to ask her, please, excuse me, can I ask you something? She said, I'm sorry, I don't speak English. She went by.
Did she respond with English saying she doesn't
Yes,
speak?
she responded with English, but she said, I'm sorry, I don't speak English.
How do you speak English and say you don't speak
So
English?
I met another person. I said the same question. I'm sorry, I don't speak English. In my mind, I said, I've entered it. And this was Saturday. So luckily, I saw one elderly person. I was actually in my mind that if these younger ones don't speak English,
How will an elderly speak?
why would an what something the spirit of God just said, go to him. So I went and the man was smoking. So I just went to him and said, please, I'm trying to get a bus going to Kuopio. The man said, well, you will not be able to, the buses going to Kuopio, they only leave at night. You won't be able to get a bus from here to Kuopio, but you might be able to, at this point, the only thing you can get is a train. But then that time there was no train station at the airport. So, but that I needed to go. That was the first name I learned in Finland. That I needed to go to Tikorila. So I said, how do I get to Tikorila? It's okay. That's a bus stop there. You just go there. When the bus to Tikorila comes, you enter the bus, and then when you get to Tikorila, you'll be able to get a train going to Kuopio. I said, thank you. So I dragged my bag and I went to stand at the bus stop. But then I was expecting, going by where I was coming from, if it's Oshodi, you hear Oshodi, 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 somebody will enter. If it's in Abuja, they will call names of where the bus
Places
is
you're
going to.
going.
There will be a conductor. So, but I noticed buses were coming and going. And when the bus comes, people will look at the board. And when the bus comes, they will just enter inside and the bus will leave. Nobody says anything. Nobody calls. So I continued waiting. I didn't know that time that you had to look at the name of the bus or number or anything.
Oh my
So
goodness.
as God will have it, as one bus was just coming, the spirit just said, go. I just went to that bus, and as everybody were, those that had luggage, because the driver came down, they were dropping their luggage. Yeah, I took my luggage there too. So luckily I saw one middle-aged man that was standing there. So I went to him. I said, is this bus going to, because I remember the name of that, is this bus going to Tikorila? He said yes. I said, good. So I just put my bag inside. Of course, I didn't have card. I paid with cash. I went to sit down. Then after some minutes, that guy asked question. It's this seat that has faces each other. The guy came and sat in front of me. So when he sat down there, I think it was just God sent. When he sat down there, he just opened the conversation. So we just opened the conversation. No, before he opened the conversation, I think as we were going, as the bus took off, I'm going to Tikorila. But then again, I noticed that the bus will get to a bus stop, nobody will say
Nobody
anything.
says anything. People will
The
just
bus
go
will stop and people will just go down. So how do these people know where they are stopping? That kind of experience. So I noticed that after some time it was passing some places that looked like bush. So I decided to ask the guy. I said, please, I'm going to Tikorila. That I don't know how to know when the bus gets there. He said, oh, I'm going to the same direction.
Oh.
He didn't say he's going to say, he said, I'm going to the same direction. He now told me that it's the last bus stop. Then I know my mind calmed down. I was like, okay, the last bus stop. So when the bus gets to the last bus stop, we stop. And somehow we got to the last. By the time we got to Tikorila, as we were coming down, the guy asked me, where are you going to? I said, I'm going to Kuopio. Say, okay, I'm also going towards that direction. So he asked me when we now came down, this is strange. I don't even know where to get train ticket, but I know I needed a train ticket to enter the train. I don't know how it works. So as we were going, to tell you that that man was just God sent, he just asked me, he said, have you got your ticket? I said, no. He said, okay, let's go. I'm also going to buy tickets. So I followed him. And then when we got there, he asked the price, I gave him cash. And then he told the woman booking the ticket that we're going together, he should give us seat together. So meanwhile, he
Mm.
doesn't know me, I don't know him. So
Mm.
when he bought the ticket, he gave me one, he held one, and then he said we have to go in. And the whole ticket was written in Finnish. So he checked it and said, okay, it's track two. Let's go to track two. We went to track two and we were waiting. As we were waiting on track two, I think there was one other guy, I think it was coming from India, one other girl coming from either India or China. The girl also, the man recognized her. It's like, he said it looks like she's a student because she was also carrying luggage like me, waiting there. So all of a sudden, while we were there waiting, the guy turned his back. He said, wow, this is the train we are waiting for. He saw the number. So that was the last train for that day. So he said, this is
Mm.
the train we are waiting for.
So which means if you're not met that man, most likely you might have missed that
Yes.
train.
So he said, this is the train we are waiting for. Let's enter, let's go. So I just dragged my bag. We just entered. I went to sit. He was trying to wave the other girl that train is behind. But the girl did say, that he felt for the girl that most likely she has missed the
The
train. That was
train.
how the train took off. So the guy was now like, we now started talking. So he was now asking me, are you a student? I say yes. Say, are you coming for? So I say yes. So where are you coming from? I said, oh, I'm coming from Nigeria, Africa. He now laughed. He said, in Africa, you eat a lot of carbohydrates. So we started talking, and then he introduced himself that he's from Scotland. And he didn't immediately, he said he's from Scotland. He has been in Finland for like 10 years.
Wow.
So he didn't say more than that. And then we get talking, and then he said, oh, would I want to, that he wants to go to the canteen, that would I want to come? I said, okay, I followed him. Because already I left the previous day. I left, I think I ate last maybe in the afternoon when I went to the airport. Okay, no, it was at the airport in my friend's wife's office. So, and this is already around after 4 the
The
next
next
day.
day.
I've not, apart from what I ate in the during the journey in the plane, I've not eaten anything. So I followed him. So the guy said, do you drink coffee? I said, no. So he bought some sandwich and tea, and we continued our conversation there. And then when we now came back, he asked me that, okay, where are you going to? In fact, to be honest, it never crossed my mind. I had applied and gotten accommodation. So I had the letter. But one, I didn't buy SIM card in Helsinki. That's another mistake. I didn't buy SIM card. So my line was not working. I didn't have internet. There was no means of even contacting the housing body.
Anybody.
Although I had my offer letter. So I had the offer letter. So but when the guy started asking, in fact, you know that God ordered my step. So the guy was like, do you have accommodation? Where are you going to stay? I said, yes, I have paid for the deposit. I have an accommodation. This is it. I've accepted it. I've paid the deposit. He said, okay. Can I see the letter? I gave him the letter. And then he started calling all the numbers on the letter. None was going through.
My goodness.
He said that it means that they are office line and that this is weekend, they are
They
not
don't,
open.
yeah, they don't work.
So, my brain rang that weekend, they are not open. I don't know anybody. And from every indication, we were going to get to Kuopio around after 9 in the night. So I'm going to a place I don't know anybody, a place I don't know anything. But the accommodation I even have, honestly speaking, when I look back now, I would ask myself, how would you even embark on? I mean, I didn't even contact the housing body to ask how I would get my key or anything. I was just coming. So the guy, we continued going. So he decided to call. He said, okay, that a friend of his has lived in Copa's apartment, that they have emergency number. So he called the Copa serviceman. And then luckily the Copa serviceman picked. And then they were telling the Copa serviceman, I have here with me one of the tenant, a student, he's just coming from Africa and he doesn't know anybody and he would need his key to access the apartment. The guy said, okay, when are you arriving? He said, after 9. He said, okay, when you get to Kuopio, call me. And then they arranged on where we will meet him to collect the key. So he said, okay, no problem, that they will bring the key for me that evening. So after that call, so he called out his friend that he's coming with some, and me, I'm coming, I don't know anybody. So he called his friend. His friend is mobile, that his friend should come and pick us from
The train
the train
station.
station, and that this is our arrival time. So when we got to uh, Kuopio and then dropped from the train, his friend came and then they put my things in. So his friend was asking me, is this your first time? I said, yes. But before we got there, the guy already asked me that, do I have foodstuff? How will I? Because that time in Finland, it was such that when there is public holiday, all the shops are closed.
Even till now, I mean.
No, 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 no. It's not like they later change it. When I mean
Oh,
closed, they don't open at
at
all. From
all.
morning till night, they don't open at all. So the guy told me that the next day is public holiday. And besides that, all the shops also closed because we got to Kuopio around after 9 to 10.
They're
They say
closing
by that time,
already.
all the shops are closed.
My
So
goodness.
the only shop, because no, it's later Prisma and Co change their opening time. Around that 8, all the shops are
They're
closed.
closed.
The next day is public holiday. I don't
Nobody's going
have a
to.
grain of
Oh.
rice or a grain of garri, nothing. So they asked me that, okay, they say Siwa is the only shop that operates 24 hours. And that Siwa that time was at the city center. So the guy said that the only shop that will be open now is Siwa.
Are they still there now?
No,
Ah, because I
that
haven't heard
we
about
we
them.
can go to Siwa. So that was how we went to Siwa. They said, okay, at least get some things that you can manage today, tomorrow, and by Monday shops will be open. And then Copas also, that was how I went to Siwa. So at least I bought Lipton, bought bread and some things. At least I can make tea and just survive. Not necessarily any food. And then I went to Siwa after buying. So they took me to Copa's office where their maintenance office is in it. That's Presidente 4. So when we got there, the Copa serviceman came. Then it's already very cold. By that time, even though it was September, everywhere I was already feeling very cold. Then the Copa serviceman came, brought the key. So the guy handed me over to the serviceman. So they transferred my load to the
Mm.
serviceman. But strangely enough, the guy just gave me his email address. He said his name is Tom. Say my name is Tom. Um, he didn't tell me he works at the university. He said my name
Wow.
is Tom. I'm from Scotland. He said he just pointed like this. I live down there. If you need anything, send me an email. He didn't give me his
The
phone
phone
number, nothing.
number.
Just his name. He just gave me his name and he wrote his email address somewhere and said you can send me email if you need to ask anything, and then he left. Then he was explaining to me that when he came also, some people helped him, so he's always willing to help
Oh
people who are
gosh.
coming. So I went, and then the Copa serviceman took me. Lo and behold, the room I was uh, offered, which I paid for, someone is inside.
Hmm.
So when we got there, the room was occupied. But luckily, we did the same flat. As God will have it, my room was supposed to be room one. Somebody was in room one. Because he's the serviceman, he has the master key. So when he opened room one, he said somebody is there. And the person who was there was a party at the ground floor of that. This Yontotie 3. There was a party at the ground floor. So it's like they were all at the party. So he said someone is there. He opened room 2. He said also somebody is there. When he opened room 3, it was empty. He said, okay, this one is empty. You can stay
Stay
here.
there
On
for
Monday,
the.
you can go to the office and sort it out with them. So you can imagine the sigh of relief when I entered my room. I don't know anybody.
Hmm.
I don't have phone to call anybody. I don't even know where to begin my life. I don't know where the school is. Nothing. I just know I've
The
just
great
arrived.
Finland.
So I just sat down. I look up. I look down. I managed to go inside, and then I made tea. Since I had bread, I just drank tea that night. I slept. Because that's the only food I have. Then, but as God will have it, I prayed. I slept. I was already tired. So as I woke up in the morning, I didn't know it was Sunday morning. Nowhere to go. I don't know any. Where will it be if I'm going now? Where will I say I'm going to? So I was just thinking, how do I even start? There's internet in the room, but I have not even connected anything. I was just there pondering. All of a sudden, the doorbell rang. The outside doorbell rang, and then I went to open the door. As I opened the door, lo and behold, there's another black person, a Nigerian. That was Godfrey. So the person just say, "Boy, where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Nigeria." He just say, "Correct." So as he say correct, you can imagine how home I felt.
Joyful you
I felt at
feel.
home. He said, "Ah, you just dey come?" I said, "Yes." Say, "Which state are you from?" I said, "I'm also from Nigeria. I'm from Edo State." I said, "Ah." He said that he has been here for like 2 weeks. That his brother lives in another city, so he went to visit his brother. That he's just coming back. That he also just
Hmm.
came but he has visited Finland before. So, you can imagine how I felt at home. At least I've seen someone I can
You
talk
can
to.
talk to.
That was how we now sat down. He now said, "Have you been to the school?" I said, "I just came last night. I don't know anywhere." Say, "Okay, I know the road to the school. Tomorrow we go
To
to
go
school
to the
together."
school.
So that was how the next day we trekked, we got ready and then walked to school. It was when I got to school, I started meeting people, and then the anxiety, then starting afresh, having to learn how to use the school system, the intranet. It was a whole lot. But
Hmm.
then a couple of days after, I ran into the guy that helped me from Helsinki.
The Tom
I
guy
ran into Tom.
at the school.
Tom, yes, I ran
Oh
into,
my
because we're
goodness!
actually in the same department,
Can you imagine?
but it's in a different research group. So I was like, "Tom, so you say yes that he's doing it. He's a researcher here at the department. So how am I managing?" I said, "Well, at least I'm surviving. I'm still alive." And then that was how the whole thing started. So the journey was one that I would say God provided a way out. Even before I got there, God made a
Hmm.
way. Things were made so much easier, because so it was now when I got to the department and I met other Nigerians, Cameroonians, and then it's as if I felt at home. In fact, to my apartment, it was later I realized that the student tutor that the school assigned to me had actually picked my key. Copas had changed my
Oh
room. They
goodness.
have changed my room, but they didn't communicate that to me. That was why
Oh,
somebody else was in that. They had changed my room. The tutor had picked my key, but was waiting
for
for
you.
me to contact
My
the school.
goodness.
So when I went back to Copa's office, I just told them, I said, "Since I'm already in that room, you have to move whoever is there. I'm not moving." They just, "Okay, we'll change your contract," and then they changed my contract. But then another thing happened. If you see how this life works, as I went to Copa's office that day, that very day I went to Copa's office. In fact, to even get to Copa's office, it was question upon question, and then I managed, struggled, and then got there. And I met, um, while I was there, I met another Nigerian. As I was rounding up, the person was waiting behind. So we greeted. How I didn't know whether he was a Nigerian, but because he was a black person, very tall, he was a black person wearing Arsenal,
Jesse.
this muffler. He was carrying Arsenal muffler. So we greeted. Normally, because he's a black person, I felt okay. I mean, this is a brother, so we greeted, and then I left. I didn't know he came to look for accommodation. So that day in school, I met already some other Nigerians and then one of them was particularly Carlo is his name. He's also from my state, although he was in Savonia. We met. I think it was in the church. I saw him. We produced. So that day I met that guy at Copa's office. That evening he called me. He said that he understands that I'm staying alone. I said yes. He said that he has a friend of his that just came, but he doesn't have accommodation. That will I be able to accommodate the person? I told him, I said, well, for me, um, I believe we are all travelers in this whole thing. I don't have any secrets that I'm keeping. That I don't know anything that would require secrecy in the room. My own is to sleep and maybe read my book, nothing more. Most times I read in school that the person can come. So lo and behold, when the person came that evening, it now happened to be the same person that I
You
greeted in
so.
Copa's office. And when they came, they were now two. They were now two friends, two Yoruba friends, Dimeji and Ayo. So they came and they said that they would appreciate it if I can accommodate the two of them. I told them, I said, even if no matter the number, as long as the room can take all of us, we are good to go. So that's the only thing that may be a problem is if my roommate, but the guy next door is from Edo State. He himself also have some
People
people in his,
squat
so
with him.
that the other person is Nepal. We don't know if he would object, but somehow, God willing, there was no objection. So three of us started staying to all we do that time. They say, Copas, if they find out, they will drive you. I said, well, when they drive us, we'll find a way around. So we went to get some extra foam, extra mattress because there was only one bed. The apartment is funny, so that was how three of us stayed for 1 year. But the lesson I
Wow.
learned from there was that, of course, I didn't know them. And like some people today, when I talk about this, it's very difficult to stay with somebody you don't know from anywhere.
Anywhere.
But the good part of that story is that Ayo in question, I later discovered that Ayo was actually once a deeper lifer too. He was even
Imagine.
once a worker in deeper life. Apart from his dad, his entire members are deeper life members. I didn't know all of this when I accommodated them. I just felt for me, I could have been the one in that position. Copa said there's no because there were too many students coming that year. All the accommodation has been given out. So the only way for them is so. And then another aspect to it is that those two guys that I accommodated, the first job or the first euro I earned in Finland was courtesy of them. Of course, sometimes it will happen that you have your differences. And as I speak with you today, uh, those two, especially Ayo, has been a very close friend. That friendship, I mean, we've come a long way, but it started from us staying together, even though as strangers. We accommodated each other, and surprisingly, we stayed. In fact, that took me to another phase. After I lived with those people, I know some people may not understand it. As a believer, when I left, after 1 year, they decided they wanted to move closer to because they were both in Savonia. They wanted to move closer, so they went to Tekma. They got accommodation. I didn't want to leave New Lamaki. I moved. And one of my other flatmates that time decided that he wants to move with me. And he's an Alhaji, a Muslim. I accommodated him. We stayed together. In fact, till date, me and Alhaji were very close.
Listen, I'm having goosebumps now because this is so much. Because
Yeah,
I
so
tell people, I was just talking to somebody today. So you see, because they're new, they just came out 5 days ago, and I was telling them, I said, to me, in this life is actually about the test of your character and attitude. Let's ignore every other thing aside. Your character and your attitude, every other thing comes afterwards. Because the quality of your person will take you further and further and further, much more than any other thing in this life, whether religion or anything. You as a person, first of all, the question of your character, and look at how you benefited from that. Imagine that day. I mean, because we've talked about this before, and that's why I feel like I should not be the only one, or just your circle should not be the only ones hearing this. And where I want us to move to now is more like, what advice will you give to people? Because another reason why I'm doing this, I've heard so many people online, because sometimes I even get angry when people dish out wrong information. What will you tell to people who are aiming to come?
You know
And I want you like to then finish it off in like, how far has God helped you? Where are you now? What will you say? What will you tell
what in
people?
summary, what I would say is that always try as much as possible to do unto others what you would want them to do to you.
Mm,
In fact, time will not permit me to talk about um, some of the other things that happened or benefit that came with my staying with those people I stayed with. There were experiences I had or things I didn't veer my mind to, especially one particular incident that happened when somebody was trying to take advantage of me. It was those guys who were like, Promise, you are too simple. You didn't understand what played out here. I said no. And then they started explaining. And then I also remember that one of my friends today that God have used to help not just me, but people who are close to me, because I know there are others who have benefited from that relationship. For example, the lives of Okwe. When Okwe came, Okwe didn't know me, I didn't know her, but
mm,
somebody gave her my number. She called me. In Helsinki, I needed somebody to pick her up because of her movement and everything. I called a friend, and that friend has done that for so many people for me.
mm,
That friend I got to know him through those two people I stayed with.
mm, mm,
And
mm,
that friend, in fact, today, when I have anybody coming and I need somebody, once I call him, he would pick that person. The person will pass the night in their place and they'll put the person in the train the next morning. When my in-laws came, I mean, I can't explain completely how my relationship, but I got to know them for the first time through
through those
those
people.
those people.
Amazing, amazing,
So
amazing. I mean, I can tell for one. I mean, in this Kuopio, this city that we are, when you're talking of African community, Pastor Promise is one of the go-to people that anybody that is coming to this city would get first-hand information, and hopefully, we really, really get this thing. We get it across to as many people as possible.